name is Kazakiel Ben Yisrael, and welcome to Voices of Our Fathers. Tonight's topic will be YAH is our reward. And now I'm about to introduce our guest. To my left,
I am Elder Shaddai Ben Yisrael.
To my right,
I'm Elder Aharon Ben Israel. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
And tonight we're going to start off with Elder Aharon with some scriptures that he wants to expound on in regards to this topic, YAH is our reward.
Shalom again.
Shalom.
Understanding truth and knowledge are the basis of all things that we do. But what is the foundation for that? In our case, we hang all that we do upon the Father Yahweh and his Son Yahshua, and the instruction that was left to us, so that we'll know whether we're right or whether we're wrong. Because remember, the law is only instruction as to what we're to do and what we're not to do. I've heard lots of things about the laws of burden and this, that, and the other, but we know better than that.
Absolutely.
First of all, I must ask you both a question. What is your ultimate goal?
Well, Elder, that's a simple question in my mind. Eternal life, salvation. On the positive end, of course. So that's simple for me.
Kazakiel?
Yes, it's the same. I feel also that salvation is the reward, or that is what we're working towards.
Correct. And there's a way to get there. Because right now, we only have what? The hope.
That's right.
Of salvation.
Exactly.
We're not saved.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We don't have a lock on anything.
That's right.
All we got is a hope.
That's right.
But everlasting life is the thing that we want. That's the goal at the end in the kingdom.
Ultimate.
Right?
That's right.
But remember now, everlasting life is going to be given to everybody.
Absolutely. That's why, Elder, in fact.
That's who deserves it.
No,
that's why, Elder, in fact, when you just asked me that question, I said that salvation, eternal life, on the positive end.
Correct.
That's why I said that, because all have eternal life.
Correct.
Because there is two lives and there's two deaths.
That's right.
And all will live again, whether it be, like Daniel said, to everlasting life or everlasting contempt.
That's right.
Exactly.
The lake of fire. So we want to be on the kingdom end.
That's why I said those who deserve it, but I meant on the positive.
Right. Access to the tree of life.
Right.
Okay.
But first, turn to Genesis, the 15th chapter.
15? All right.
And verse 1.
Okay. 15. Okay.
This is before Abraham's name was changed to Abraham. Listen to what this says. It says, after these things, the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision, saying, do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward.
Reward.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Great reward.
Well, let's look to see what a reward is.
Okay.
In the Strong's Concordance, it's the number 7939. And the word is sakar. And it says, compensation. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Compensation.
Right. It also says higher. It also says price. wages, worth. And it also says payment of contract.
Okay.
Now we know that has a meaning to us more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Why? Because we have a contract with the Father.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't honor this contract.
We got quite a few of them, in fact.
And the reason why we're here is because that contract was broken.
Absolutely.
But that did not nullify the contract in body because it was broken. That only meant that we had to get back on course by learning what that contract said.
True.
And for us to do or to fulfill our end of the contract so that we can get our reward at the end. Again, the same, what did it say? It said, Abram, I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward. That has not changed, brothers.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Didn't y'all say he didn't change?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He said that, Elder.
Just as it was for Abram, it's for us also.
Absolutely.
So a reward is a payment. Something that you get. It also says hiring. But let's go back. Turn to Proverbs.
Proverbs
24 and 14.
24:14. Okay. There we go.
It says, so shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul, if you have found it. There's a prospect, and your hope will not be cut off. Let's also go down to verse 20. It says, for there will be no prospect for the evil man. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. So the prospect also is a reward.
Okay.
But what does it say? In other words, what it's telling you that the wicked man, he has no prospect of the kingdom that we seek for.
Right.
His prospect, it says, what? Will be put out.
Absolutely. Will be put out.
So that means that the lake of fire is waiting on him. That's his reward at the end. So we're trying to bypass that.
Absolutely.
But we have instruction to follow.
All right.
Turn to Psalms 94.
Psalm 94. Okay.
And I want to start this at verse 1. It says, O Yahweh Elohim, to whom vengeance belong. O Elohim, to whom vengeance belong, shine forth. Rise up, O judge of the earth. Render punishment to the proud. Yahweh, how long will the wicked how long will the wicked triumph? They utter speech and speak insolent things. All the workers of iniquity boast in themselves. Now, what is he saying here? You see, we look at it as the wicked are profiting because we see them with everything, if you understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to work for the Father, and what happens to us?
You said that.
Correct. But that's because our reward comes at the end. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to be seeking a reward now. Or shall I say an earthly reward?
Okay.
Are you seeking an earthly reward?
No, I'm not.
You're not, are you?
No, I'm not.
Huh? Didn't we say in the beginning you got the hope of salvation?
That's right.
So that means that your hope lies in what you're going to have at the end.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now remember now, if you get your reward now, what you going to get in the end? Huh? What is the end result? What did it say here? Listen to this. He says, how long will the wicked triumph? We look around today. Mm-hmm. People we know are wicked. And what did they got everything? Mm-hmm. Huh? They got their reward now.
Absolutely.
But they want their reward also at the end.
Absolutely. Well, look, can I say something too?
Sure.
There are many of them that feel as though that they're doing the right thing now because they feel as though that YAH is blessing them now. Therefore, in their eyes, this is proof, or this is something to show everyone that they're doing the right thing, because the Father takes care of those who are doing the right thing. So that's what they see, and that's the connection that they make with their success, because they're getting rewarded now. So they feel as though, if I do the right thing, the Father will bless me. The more I do the right thing, the more He's going to bless me. So they want it now, and they have it now, but they want it later. But the question is, will they get it later? So, but the question that they never really ask themselves is, well, am I being rewarded now? Yes, I am. But who am I being rewarded from?
Correct.
Or who's giving me a reward? Or who's sustaining what I'm receiving now? Who's giving me this? That's the question that should be asked.
Or another question that you could ask is material
Right.
the real reward that you seek? I mean, you can't take it with you.
True. True.
Let's look at what Moshe says. Turn to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter.
32nd. Okay.
Matter of fact, let me go back to 31:19. I want to read something. He says, now therefore write down this song for yourselves and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel, when I have brought them to the land flowing with milk and honey, of which I swore to their fathers, and they have eaten and filled themselves and grown fat. Then they will turn to other gods and serve them, and they will provoke me and break my covenant. Stop. Again, we talked about a covenant. We talked about a reward being a payment for a contract. Here, Moshe is telling the children of Israel, or the Father has told him to tell them, they're going to break the covenant. They're going to provoke the Father to anger. And this is exactly what our forefathers did. And we've done worse. Because we still continue in this same vein to provoke him to anger. But we want a reward. We want to get paid.
Yeah.
So what payment should we get? But let's read this song. Let's read some of this song that we're supposed to know. But wait a minute, before we go there, let's go down to verse 29. 31:29. It says, for I know that after my death, this is Moshe, you will become utterly corrupt and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil will befall you in the latter days. Stop. Isn't this the latter days?
Okay.
Hasn't evil befallen us?
Okay. Sure has.
Because you will do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger through the works of your hand.
Yeah.
This is the song, and what part of it we're going to read.
32:1.
Right, 32, verse 1. It says, give ear, O heaven, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Let my teaching drop as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, as raindrops on the tender herbs, and as showers on the grass. For I proclaim the name of Yahweh. Ascribe greatness to our Elohim. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are just. A Elohim of truth and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. Let's skip down to verse 9. It says, for Yahweh's portion is his people. Yaakov is the place of his inheritance. Let's skip down some more. 39. I want to go all the way to 39. It says, now I see that I, even I am he. There is no Elohim besides me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Nor is there anyone who can deliver from my hand. Stop. We're his portion. He's on top. What did he just say? He kill and he make alive.
Kill and make alive.
And none can deliver out of his hand. So why would we want to serve any other than him? Why wouldn't we want to be obedient?
Absolutely.
40. I'm going to continue to read. For I raise my hand to heaven and say, as I live forever, if I wield my glittering sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and repay those who hate me. I will make my arrow drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. With the blood of the slain and the captives, for the head of the leaders of the enemies. Rejoice, O Gentile, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and render vengeance to his adversaries. He will provide atonement for his land and his people. Stop. That's the ultimate reward. The Father taking vengeance for us. The Father avenging us. But what do we have to do? Remember now we got contract.
We have to be obedient, Elder.
But we also have to do something else, don't we? Huh?
We have to believe.
That's right. And what else do we have to do? We have to fulfill our end of that contract, don't we?
Absolutely.
Deuteronomy 8.
Deuteronomy 8.
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy 8.
Verse 1.
Okay.
We want a reward. We want to get paid. Every commandment which I command you today, you must be careful to observe, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land of which Yahweh swore to your fathers. Stop. Do you want the reward?
Absolutely.
What does it say? Every commandment.
Which I command you
That's right.
today. And in fact, in looking at this in retrospect, looking at what you just said earlier, what we have here is the Father, or Moshe, is referring us right here back to the original contract that you mentioned in Genesis 15:1.
That's it.
Which is referring to the first contract, which was the Abrahamic covenant.
That's right.
And so that was at the time his name was Abram, like you said.
That's right.
But the Father was establishing that contract then, right there in that particular verse.
That's right.
And this is referring to that land which he swore to who? Our forefathers, and it goes right back there. So this is a different contract here.
Right.
Because this is the Mosaic
Right.
contract, Mosaic covenant / contract.
Right.
So, but it's always the same.
It's the same. It don't change. It fits right in.
Absolutely.
Where it does not change.
Absolutely. Yep. That is absolutely correct.
2. And you shall remember that Yahweh, your El, led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you and test you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not.
Test.
Do you think we passing the test?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so.
We're a long way from passing the test.
Absolutely.
Let's turn to... Let's go into their book a little bit. Because they say we always stay in our books. Let's go into their book.
Right side of the book, huh?
Yeah. Turn to Matthew, the 5th chapter.
Okay, Matthew 5.
Let's start at verse 11.
All right.
It says, blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. This is Yahshua speaking. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you.
Interesting. Right here, Elder, I believe that many people who read this passage believe that this is trying to say, or is saying, that if they lead a good life, then their reward is going to heaven. And that is what the reward here is when it says, for great is your reward in heaven. So if they lead this good life, being a believer, being obedient and doing the right thing, and working for God, then their reward is going to heaven.
Don't say that though.
I know it doesn't say, but that's what they believe. Right here, they believe that's what that's trying to say.
Right, but that's not what it's saying.
Absolutely not.
We know that that's not what it's saying.
Absolutely not.
No. Wait a minute. You know what? I'm going to continue to read.
Okay.
Because it's also, after that, verse 13 says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men.
Absolutely.
You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. That's the reward.
Exactly. That's it.
That's in heaven.
That's the reward, which is YAH.
That's
YAH
right.
is, going back, YAH is your connection here in verse 12 when it says, for great is your reward in heaven. That is absolutely positively referring to the Father.
That's right.
Who is in heaven. Also, Elder, too, since you read 13 and you read 14, many people are on the kind of, this is kind of off the subject just a little bit, but we'll get right back on, is that when it says that you are the salt of the earth, and then it says you are the light of the world, many people believe that when these two statements here refers to anyone who is a believer, but that is not true.
No.
This right here, when Yeshua said you are the salt of the earth, he was speaking directly and only to Israel. And when he said that you are the light of the world, he was speaking directly to and only to Israel. Not to say that if you are a believer, you can't teach someone something, but it was not given to others, his word, or his word was not entrusted to others to be the light to the world, chosen as a one and only people that he has chosen. So this is being reflective of Israel only. When Yeshua was speaking here, he was only speaking to Israel, as he did most of the things here you read.
That's right.
So I just want to throw that in there.
Right, but also when we read Genesis 15, when it opened up and talked about Yah being our exceedingly great reward, again, this is what this is referring to again.
Absolutely.
Not only that, when we read in Deuteronomy, when the Father talked about following his commandments so that we could live. He's talking about the children of Israel again.
Absolutely.
Yahshua came to do what? Jumpstart us back
Absolutely.
to what we were supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Moshe told us, he said,
Absolutely.
you're going to fail in the end.
Absolutely.
He wasn't only talking about then, he was talking about this time as well as in our time.
Exactly. Nothing changes.
That's why we have to pick this contract back up
Oh, yeah.
to do the work.
And do it right. Do it correctly.
There's an example in Matthew. Let's go to Matthew, the 16th chapter.
Come on with it.
Matthew 16, when Hamashiach is explaining a situation to Peter. Well, he's going to rebuke Peter.
Okay.
That's Matthew
16.
16:21. Start at 21st verse.
21.
Okay.
All right.
And this is an example when he's speaking to disciples. From that time forth began Yahshua to show unto his disciples how he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Master, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that are of YAH, but those things are of men. And this is the beginning of when Yahshua, well, in this situation, when he's rebuking Peter and putting him back in his place, as to showing him what, how the agenda is going to go. Instead, Peter was going through the carnal, looking through the carnal eye, and trying to actually save the day, so to speak. And Yahshua was telling him no, you know, because he knew that was the spirit of Satan that was speaking.
Exactly.
And not the spirit of YAH.
Exactly.
And then in 24, then said Yahshua unto him, his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And that's a deep statement.
Yeah, and that's the reward.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of folk. It's a lot of folk that don't understand what's at stake in terms of striving for salvation, or speaking or going against the grain, and speaking against the matrix, or thinking outside of the box, so to speak, because your life at one time should be on the line in the very near future if this thing, the way it's unfolding in the news every day, for what we're sitting up here doing, this should come to an end. We won't be able to do this.
That's right.
In public.
No.
That's what it means right here. And it says,
Continue on.
For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. Whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. 26, for what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?
Come on.
Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in his glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works.
There you go.
So basically,
reward is coming.
this reward is not cheap.
No.
No.
It's not cheap at all.
And also, because you mentioned something too, when you said that back up in 22, you said, then Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. A lot of people don't understand what rebuke means. Some people think it means like to shun someone. Can you explain what that really means?
Okay. In 22, then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Master, this shall not be unto thee. He was trying to when you say rebuke, he was trying to, how could I say it? I'm trying to, he was trying to, in a sense, comfort him or assure him, reassure him that this cannot be, this is not your fate to come. Because like you said, yeah, rebuke is a word that people take out of context. But really, basically, what he was trying to do, and if you really read it and you understand it, he was trying to comfort himself. Because Peter didn't want to see that happen himself.
Right. Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And for the most part, Yahshua had to keep that thing in perspective.
Right. And not let it get out of hand.
Right, because he had to make sure that the disciples kept their head about themselves. Because you can read, throughout the Gospels, how he used to always have to keep reminding them. He says things in the nature of, hey, you've been with me this long, and you still don't see, or you still don't understand. Right. So, the Messiah had his hands full when it came down to a lot of situations with them. But Peter, it wasn't a rebuke in terms of trying to check the Messiah in so many words, not like that, but a rebuke in trying to reassure himself, hoping that wouldn't happen, and trying to really, he didn't want to face it. He didn't want to face it. Unless you had something else to do.
No, I was just going to say, it usually what it reflects is trying or appear to correct someone, or to if you hear a statement and it doesn't sound quite right, and you try to correct it, or you try to correct an individual. Well, of course, he was out of order here. He was out of order here in that he was trying to correct Yeshua, because he was thinking that something was going to happen, and it was a wrong thing for him to think that, because that's why Yeshua looked at him and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan."
Right.
Because the statement that he made was something that stood in the way of the right thing to do.
Right.
And anything that stands in the way of that which is just and true is of Satan.
That's true.
Not that he was calling him Satan,
Right.
but what he was doing was something that Satan would do. It was evil. Because what he was doing is saying that, saying, no, this is not going to happen to you. Oh, whoa, you're going against the flow of the will of the Father.
Right.
So if you do that, if you're not for the Father, then you're against the Father. If you're against the Father, then you're Satan. Because you are now a what? An adversary. And that's what Satan means.
Yeah.
An adversary. So if you're not for him, you're against him. So that's what was going on now. And that's interesting you brought that up.
And see, the thing, when you read before, he had just, in a sense, blessed Shimon.
It can happen real quick.
Yeah.
In one breath, and then had to rebuke him in the next one.
And the thing, too, what's important about that, and it's easy to do that, and it's not that it was something bad meant by it, but when we allow our natural feelings to get involved, because that's what was going on here. You can do a great thing on one second and then turn around and flop on the next, because we allow our personal feelings to get involved. And that's why Shimon said what he said here, because he allowed his personal feeling, his love for Yeshua. He kind of let it get in the way.
Yes, he did. Because like I said, he didn't want that to happen.
No, right. It was the love that he had. But you can't allow anything, nothing, to get in the way, love or whatever, get in the way of Yah's will.
That's right.
No.
Right.
So that's what.
It's real interesting.
It is.
Let's turn back to Matthew 5.
Okay.
5. That's right.
We're going to stay with Yeshua for a minute here. Verse 43.
Okay. 43?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen to this.
Go.
A lot of people misunderstand this too.
Oh, they do. They do.
It says, you have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. And pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Then it says, do not even the tax collector do the same? And if you greet your brethren only, if you greet your brother, what do you do more than others? Do not even the tax collector do so? Therefore you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. You got to love everybody, he's telling you.
That's right.
But they don't get that. See, we know that on a carnal level, it is hard if somebody does something to you to shrug that off.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Definitely.
But if you understand this, don't you know we're put in that position today? People that have done to our people what they've done in the past, we have to be that light that's on the hill to show them that love that Yahshua is talking about here.
That's right.
That's an awesome thing.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Very.
And it's hard, because how can you teach somebody that you hate?
That's right.
You can't do it. Let's continue this. It says, chapter 6, verse 1, it says, take heed that you do not do your charitable deed before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father.
Okay.
Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound the trumpet before you as the hypocrites do in the synagogue and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Assuredly I say to you, they have their reward. But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. Now that's the kind of reward that you want.
Right.
Elder, one quick. Can you explain to the viewing audience, Elder, what is Yeshua actually referring to when he says, therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound the trumpet?
What he's saying is, don't be out there front. No, I did this.
Okay.
Boasting. Look at me. I'm the one who did. No.
Because I'm sure that some people don't understand what that means.
No.
Although most do, I know some don't.
Yeah, but quietly.
Exactly.
No one is to even know. Why? Because see, that's what we're talking about here. Getting your reward from the Father.
Exactly.
That's a mark in the book for you.
Exactly.
That's what he means when he say your reward in heaven.
Exactly.
It's being counted for you. It's knocking off some of that nonsense that you got on the books against you.
Right.
And you know what else, too, Elder? The way I see it is that when we do things, the more good and positive things that we do in this life, being obedient to the Father.
That's correct.
You know, confessing our sins and repenting from our sins. And when we do a lot of these things, the Father's recording all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if all the good and positive things that we can do that the Father sees as you know, as good, these things are taken and they're kind of like the Father's remembering these things. These things are being stored up for you.
That's right.
So to speak. And you're not gonna get this until the end.
That's right.
You know, things are constantly stacking up for you positively.
That's right.
But it's not something you're going to receive right now. No. It's something that you're going to get in the end.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You know, the things that we do, the things that we say, you know, how it affects other people. You know, these things are being stored up for you. It's not about going to heaven. It's about what you're reserving up there. What he's going to bring with him when he comes back.
Right. That's
So,
what they don't get that part, though.
Exactly.
Not only that, see, I often have to tell people that good does not always mean spiritual and right.
And it does not. You're absolutely right. Good does not always mean that which we think the Father is impressed with.
That's right.
He died. He wasn't a believer, but he was a good man.
Right.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's an iffy situation here.
Exactly.
Turn to Matthew 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's read 34. Let's start at 34.
And 34. All right.
I hear this. I hear something to the contrary to this all the time. But let's read this.
Okay.
This is Yahshua talking. He says, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemy will be those of his own household.
That's right.
He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it."
That's right.
Huh? That's a powerful reward there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But we don't get that. We think, what did we say? Oh, peace. He's the Prince of Peace. We know that. But he told you he did not come to bring peace, but a sword. Why? Because what he came to bring you is so far removed from what you've understood.
That's right. Absolutely. And this is kind of hitting on something that I brought up earlier. When we look at a man or a woman who has a love or loves a man or a woman, which is a good thing, of course, you know, or a son or a daughter loving a mother or father, which is a good thing, of course. But when you take that love for them and you place that love for them more than Yeshua, which means that you're going to follow their lead as opposed to Yeshua's lead, that's a bad thing.
That's right.
Even though it's a good thing, it's a bad thing.
That's right. Let's continue. It says, "He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water in the name of a disciple, assuredly, I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
This is powerful things here.
Absolutely.
Yahshua is talking about.
Absolutely. And Yeshua was saying here, he who receives me.
That's right.
He who receives me is going to not put his son or his mother or father before me, but at the same time, Yeshua knew that in his coming, if you're going to receive me, there's going to be a bunch of problems. Bringing a sword here.
That's right.
Disturbing the peace.
That's right.
You know,
No,
people,
man.
oh man, you believe what? You believe in that man called what? That who is? You believe what? No, I don't.
Never heard of that.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. We had a lot. There was a lot of disturbance. Yeshua brought a lot of disturbance with him.
Yes, he
Not
did.
peace, because they were bumping heads, broke up families. Some believed, some didn't believe, bumping heads.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that is part of this journey that you walk daily, especially when here it talks about and a man. This is 10 and 36.
And 36.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that you can preach and teach in your own house until you just turn red in the face.
You ain't going nowhere.
I mean, right. And you have to just stand strong.
Exactly.
And it's kind of hard to watch your family going in all different directions.
Very.
And you trying to explain this thing and how time is running out and the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Exactly.
And people look at you like, you know, you've
Absolutely.
lost your mind.
Absolutely. And that's why he said, that's why I come to, that's why he knew he was
Right.
he was going to be bringing a sword.
That's right.
Not peace.
He's going to be
No.
division, basically.
Exactly.
And see, a lot of people believe, okay, he's to bring unity, of course,
Of
but
course.
only to those who understand
Right.
where they're supposed to be at in time and in space when he returns
Right.
and introduces and finishes out this agenda.
Right.
Yes,
See,
right.
that's the unity.
Right.
But this is not something for you just arbitrarily just wandering around and you just automatically, just accidentally bump into this thing and say, oh, okay, that's the train of salvation. Let me get on.
Like
It's not like that.
And the thing too, you know, you can, and like you were talking about in the household, you can receive more opposition in the household
Yes, you
than you
can.
can on the street.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it seems as though a lot of times that spirit works against you. I mean, so readily, because you have all these different avenues in which that spirit can come in. At television, that's one of the most wickedest devices that a person can have in your house,
1,000 times over.
because you just have so many negative overtones that come across the airways and through
Even in cartoons.
thank you.
Even in cartoons.
In cartoons.
Innocently, cartoons.
What they call innocent.
Yeah.
But a lot of these cartoons nowadays, they have those overtones of the mystery system. I mean, it's clear as day. And they're controlling the children's minds as to have them to embrace things that's not of Yah, and things that's not of Yah, they disguise it and try to make it, oh, this is of Yah, or like you said, this is something good. But see, it can be good, but not of Yah.
That's right. Not spiritually and right.
You see what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
so that household, that's what hit me, hit home for me, because you know, I just, you know, and not just in my immediate household, but people that I've grown up with, and people that I've, you know, that are my peers. You know, they may think that, you know, what I'm doing is backwards. You know, well, in fact, Yahshua already pointed that out.
Exactly.
That there's going to be division.
Exactly.
There's going to be adversity.
Absolutely.
But in the household, he knew. He knew. He went as far as to talk about mother and father.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any mother, father, sister, brother,
Right.
daughter-in-law, father-in-law, doesn't
Right.
matter. Absolutely.
That's right.
Turn to Luke.
Book of Luke. Luke.
6th chapter.
Alrighty.
Verse 23.
Luke,
Six.
6th chapter.
6:23. Okay, here we are.
It says, rejoice in that day and leap for joy. For indeed your reward is great in heaven. For in like manner their fathers did to the prophets. Huh? Your reward is in heaven. Huh?
Absolutely. That's right.
Isn't that what we started off with?
That's right.
It says what? It says rejoice in that day and leap for joy. For indeed your reward is great in heaven.
That's right. And
For
again,
in like manner their fathers did too the prophets.
absolutely. And that's not going to heaven again.
I was
Right.
about to say that. I was
It's
about
not
to say
going to
that.
heaven.
That your reward coming from heaven.
Heaven. That's right.
It's not you going to meet
right.
it in heaven.
That's right.
Because in the end, the Father does what? He comes from heaven.
Thank you.
That's right.
Right. And it talks about in Revelations how the Father shall dwell amongst men.
Man, that's right.
And I want to go there, but I'm trying to make sure we have enough time before this thing takes off again, and we get good.
Also, too, and for those who are thinking about, didn't Christ say, I go away to prepare a place for you? Oh, yeah. I think that place also comes down with the Father in the end also, doesn't it?
Right.
Comes from out of heaven.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, but that can't throw a lot of people that's what they call unlearned.
Yeah.
And a person will take that and think that for some reason they can't believe that we could be true